Copact's Dynamic Duo series where results are guaranteed. Today, I have the pleasure of having Dan Grahman on, co-founder of Cultivated. Your background, your journey, what led you to founding Cultivate Advisors, and what inspires you? What gets you going every day?
My background was in franchising. So I owned my first franchise when I was in college. I was going to be a second grade school teacher, and I knew I wasn't going to make great money in that profession. So I wanted to own a summer business as well. So I bought a painting franchise. And while going to college, I made more money in the summertime than I was going to make after graduating college. So I ended up deciding, you know what, I actually love educating and training adults. I love kids still too, and I've got three of my own, but I decided to switch my major to business in my fourth year. And then after owning that franchise, the franchisor called myself on top of my current business partner today, the other co-founder of Cultivate, and we both were promoted into the franchisor level. So we traveled the US, opened franchises, consulted them. Then a larger franchise industry out of Jacksonville, Florida called me, and so I traveled North America opening those franchises. And so, long story short, just went around opening businesses and starting them from zero revenue and then scaling them over and over again. So eventually we wanted to start a company that gave that same level of support to your everyday business owner that doesn't have support from a franchisor to lead and guide them. And that's how we got to what is Cultivate Advisors today.
That's a great story. How applicable would you say your knowledge of franchising and going 0 to 1 is for just general SMB businesses in the US?
I realized after going from one franchisor model to another was that usually franchise systems are really good at training and consulting the industry, not so much the model and the foundation of growing a scalable business. So when you look at scaling the sales engine of the business, the marketing, recruiting top talent, the leadership systems, and then running the financial model for success and profitability, like those core fundamentals are not deeply embedded in every franchisor. Some do it well, some don't, but we really wanted to get that down. So, and then I'd say we got really smart with hiring smarter people than us that had owned businesses before they joined us. And so we've got a fantastic team of advisors that digs into the weeds and then builds out these scalable models for companies. So
your mission, your expertise, what do you want the audience to know about Cultivate Advisors and walk away from the call with?
Our mission is to partner with committed entrepreneurs in propelling them beyond expectations. And that's a loaded mission, right? And our vision is a world made better by entrepreneurs. And so currently today we serve over 1,000 business owners on subscription. And I would say our mission is really to watch those key performance indicators and the most important goals and vision personally for the owners of companies to ensure that we're building to the next level for them. And we're either on the way to where they want to be scaled to, or we're on our way to the exit that they want in their business. And so that's what we do every day. And every time we jump into a meeting with a client, we're solving our way towards that path and figuring that. And we measure very closely all of our clients, the uptick in revenue, profit, and the other KPIs that are important to them.
Your percentage of the work you do is really strategy, alignment, KPIs, and visioning to actual execution, getting your hands dirty, helping drive outcomes. Where does Cultivate Advisors sit on that kind of spectrum?
So it's almost view our advisors almost as if they're a business partner. Like you now just got a new business partner in your business without having to actually give them equity. And so they're going to act like a seasoned entrepreneur that's been through this scale model before many times over. And so they're going to be deep into the strategies, the plans, and building the processes for the company at scale. Now, let's say we're touching on the marketing side. We're building the strategy, exactly how we're going to go get enough leads to hit our revenue goal. That doesn't mean that the advisor team is going to be clicking buttons on Facebook ads and SEO, but what they will do is set the path and clear, concise confidence of where we're going to go and why we're going to do it that way so that they can actually go execute. And so beyond that strategy, then it's the ongoing coaching and adapting to that new process or plan that we put into place, because there's going to be learning curves every time we build a new roadmap towards getting to success. So we've got a lot of vendors lined up on our side that in case they need an outside vendor to support execution, we've got a vendor marketplace built into our technology that our clients and our advisors live in.
It's the perfect balance of that strategic partner and not the equity cost with the ability to drive into execution, which everyone needs. One more question on this area. You guys are all in on entrepreneurs. You obviously think entrepreneurs bring a special expertise, a special talent, a special energy. What makes entrepreneurs so special, and how would you define the best in class entrepreneurs that you've had the chance to work with?
Well, first of all, we're all a little crazy. I think entrepreneurship takes not just a special talent, but mindset and, you know, willingness to go fail a lot and take the punches and get through to the next day. So, having a dinner with other fellow entrepreneurs is a very different feel from grabbing dinner with somebody that is not entrepreneurs. It's not that entrepreneurs are better. It's just you're living a different life as an entrepreneur. And so I'd say whenever we're selecting our clients and they're selecting us, it's important that we both feel committed in the relationship. We do find that there are people that are, dating us to see if we're a good fit for them. And sometimes they're not a good fit for us. Sometimes they're not truly the right entrepreneur that we believe is set up to go scale, or they're not the right CEO for the company. So I'd say it's a dual process whenever we're going through the dating phase of doing free advising sessions for potential clients, that we are figuring out on both ends. They're feeling us out if they have confidence that we can go faster together. And then likewise, we want to make sure that we believe in the win story as well.
What impact is Cultivate Advisors going to drive with each and every client?
So we don't have like a tagline of some sort of cheesy guarantee. Like if you don't hit X level of revenue growth, then you get all your money back or anything like that. I mean, we know the risk of entrepreneurship, right? And so when we're going to partner with an entrepreneur, the one thing we can share is the facts. So last year, our average business owner that we worked with grew by 43% revenue and 65% profit. Those are the two bottom line numbers that we're watching constantly, on top of personalized KPIs for them as well. So our only guarantee is on the results that we created with previous clients, and then just sharing where our confidence is of where we're going to grow to the future with them.
Where would you say like the most common, the 80% range of your clients are?
I mean, that's it's probably the median. What I'd say is there's definitely some outliers in there as well, um, on both sides of the spectrum, right? But I mean, I can tell you about a client where when we started working with him, he had about $3 million in revenue, and 75% of his revenue was from one client, and it was Amazon. And that's a dangerous place to be, because the minute one client goes, you either have to let go of a lot of employees. I mean, that's your business. You're basically an employee to that client. And so we had to build a strategy and the model so that we could start to recruit new sales talent, get a whole new portfolio of clients, and then within a year we actually fired that client. It was a mutual discussion where it had to go that direction, just because typically like larger companies can kind of beat down on pricing, so then profit margin is not good enough for that small business owner. So it made sense for everybody involved. And then later on after that, he grew the company after 6 years to a point where he sold the business for $31 million. And so there's outliers in there, but I'd say like typically that's what you're looking at. I mean, we're measuring with our assessment every year with our internal clients on top of other people that want to take our assessment as well.
That's great. And one other thing on kind of the impact and the things you're driving, what do you think's the biggest thing missing with your clients in terms of like, is it the strategy? Is it the experience of being an entrepreneur before? What is Cultivate Advisors bringing to the table that, just is going to drive a different level of success than if an entrepreneur goes at it on their own?
I mean, I think we can all relate to this, is that when we're in the business, we're in the business, right? And so getting our heads out of the clouds of the day-to-day of the work we're doing to actually go like, how is my business as an asset doing? And what processes and systems do I actually have in place to build this asset for it to be able to scale, or even eventually have an exit? And I'd say we don't slow down enough to truly go, I'm working on the business. I'm working on the business, not just in it. And so how do we slowly remove the owner out of working on the business constantly to be more working on the model for scale? And that's a big thing that we run into a lot of times. And then there are amazing entrepreneurs that we have where they're going fantastic, but they need another set of eyes to go like, what am I not thinking about? And when we look at the big picture of everything, we identify a couple core areas to really go a lot deeper and build out the future of that. And it makes all the difference for them. So, I mean, I really think it's time. Time is a valuable asset, and a lot of us don't have time because we're stuck inside of our businesses. So
I love the time analogy and the time ability that you're providing, as well as the blind spot. I talk about it a lot. Of I've only been a CEO one time before, and I didn't know my blind spots until we exited the business. And I wish I knew those blind spots earlier. And I think having a trusted advisor connected and aligned with you makes a world of difference. So I love that. You touched on it a bit before. Any other success stories that you want to highlight of, something that really kind of was very impactful that Cultivate Advisors was able to do for a client?
Yeah, I mean, we had another client that it was a husband and wife duo owning the business, and they were completely all entrenched in the operation. And so we really, again, over time, build the business to be more scalable beyond themselves as the owners. And eventually they had a $12 million exit, and then they started another business, and then we continue to work with them now today on that business. And so it kind of just plays to the story of what I'm sharing with you, where like many times the owners are just deeply entrenched into the operation. And we got to start to build it so it scales and has a value for the future.
I think it's also a great point too of the relationship that your advisors and your organization are building is not just with the company. It's truly with the entrepreneur and the founder, where you can be with them throughout your career, whether you start multiple businesses, however that may be. But that long-term relationship and that trust and camaraderie that's being built, I'm sure is super valuable for each and every client.
Yeah. And I think the hardest part about our industry is that, so I don't know if you know this, there's 80,000 coaches in the US today. So coaching firms. And the average coaching firm today is doing $175,000 in revenue. And so what's interesting about that is if you look at the data, there are some really good coaches out there that have scaled businesses before, and their advice to other entrepreneurs is doing really well. But there's actually more coaches out there that have never owned a business or been that entrepreneur, and now they're telling entrepreneurs what to do with their business. I know that they've got a great skill set, and there's definitely a strength that they bring to the table to help that business, but there are some things that we just have to be cautious about, because we're all coming at entrepreneurs and saying, let me coach you, let me coach you. And it's like, it makes it it's a big ocean of people to navigate. Like, is this a good decision? And so I think that goes for all of us that are selling services in the B2B world, that there's a lot of us coming to them, telling them, like, I know we can help you. And so how do we make sure we get our message across to them so they know they pick the right provider for that service?
I think it's a great point, and it reminds me a little bit of like when you get advertised by life coaches that have been out of college for 2 years, and you're like, "What life have you lived yet? How are you telling me more about this than?" And if you haven't been an entrepreneur and you haven't successfully scaled and exited a business and have the battle scars to prove it, is your advice maybe it's good, but more likely than not, it's not relevant. So I really resonate with that.
Good analogy. Yep.
I love those. I get those all the time. Last thing, closing call to action. The session's been great. One or two key points that you really want entrepreneurs and founders of businesses in the US to know about you and Cultivate Advisors, and maybe a little bit about who shouldn't reach out, who maybe is not a good fit, just so people know if they're a good fit or not.
Yeah, I'll just share a few things. So, one would be is if you're an entrepreneur and you've been in your business for at least 3 to 5 years and you're really trying to figure out how to scale, grow, or prepare for an eventual exit, we do have a free assessment that you can take. It takes 15 minutes, and it'll look at 24 health drivers that will lift up the business and create more value in the business today, so that profits and revenue is growing. And that if you do sell tomorrow, that you're actually really starting to analyze like how valuable the asset really is and what needs to be changed today to make tomorrow possible. The second would be is if you are a B2B service provider and when your clients grow faster, you win too, that's a good time to call us too, to see if there's a partnership opportunity so that we can work with the clients, that we can lift them up so that they go faster with you as well. And then the final thing would be is like for any of those coaches out there that have entrepreneurial experience that are really playing in this world of coaching, reach out to me personally, because we are trying to figure out which coaching practices we want to be start to bring all of our methodologies together and impact a larger mission and vision together.
I love the very similar to Copact, that ecosystem approach of how do you continue to build value added clients, value added partners, and then really the talent. How do you bring the advisors, the people with the battle scars, to help you have a few less battle scars than those who have done it previously?
Absolutely.
I love it. Well, Dan, thank you so much. Appreciate you being on. This is Copact's Dynamic Duo series where results are guaranteed.
Great. Thanks for having me.